I have the thought for the day. So my word for the day is appear. I was thinking last week, we had Our Lady of Guadalupe. She appears to Juan Diego, and his life has changed forever. And it reminded me of the Christmas carol, O Holy Night, long lay the world in sin and error pining till he appeared, and the soul felt its worth. And yet it's a story about Jesus, and yet it's about Christmas. But how is it not the job description of every human being in this room and outside of it? You appear, and the soul feels its worth. So I have just two brief stories. One is, there was a homie many years ago named Filiberto Fili, and he was in a wheelchair, paralyzed because he had been shot. And he came into my office one afternoon, and he just said out of the blue, he said, I saw this picture of myself, a flica of myself yesterday, and I guess I was like 7, and I keep looking at this picture, and I can hardly believe it's me. And I said, oh, that's interesting. And then that was kind of it. And then 2 days later he came in and he mentions the picture again, and he says, I keep staring at this picture, and I think my parents took it for like the migra or some kind of mica or something, but I can't believe it's me. And he goes, yeah, you mentioned that the other day, and it seemed kind of out of the blue. Well, the next day he comes in and he has the flica, and he flicks it over to my side of the desk, and there is this little guy, and he looks very serious, and I don't really know what to say. And Fili in his wheelchair he's all pelon, he's shaved his head, but the guy in the picture is, has a full head of hair. And I said, damn, Fili, you have hair. I don't know what to say to him. And so, is he giving me this picture, or does he want it back? So the only way to determine that is to hold it up to him, and he says before he takes it, he says, do you think you could make it big? And I said, sure. So I went to the mall after work, and I held it out to the guy at the camera store, and I said, make it big. And he said, I think it's too small to enlarge. And I said, I don't know what you're going to do. You're going to have to make this picture larger than it is. And he worked his magic, and finally it got to be this big. And I saved a copy for myself. And this is not a story about a photograph. This is a story about the self made to feel too small from having been bombarded with messages of shame and disgrace. And the only remedy for that is for you to appear, and the soul will feel its worth. Last story. A number of months ago, Father Brendan, who's the pastor at Dolores Mission, was doing a quinceañera mass. And right after the mass, he was in the sacristy, and a woman came up to him and said, there's an incident in the front of the church. So he goes out there, and there's this guy with his shirt off, covered in tattoos, and he's acting the fool, and this is my neighborhood, and going on and on. And as Brendan described him to me, I thought, oh, I bet it's Max. I bet Max is out of prison. And I remember thinking to myself, hope he comes back here. He had been here briefly many years ago before he went to prison. And so the guy's going on, and Brendan says to him, what's your name? And sure enough, he says, my name's Max. And he softens. And then he looks at Max and he says, I bet you're hungry. And Max softens even more, and he says, yeah. And then he says, do you think you could make me a cheeseburger? And Brendan said, well, no, but here's some fatty on. You can go to Jim's and get a double bacon cheeseburger. And then Brendan said, he wasn't an incident. He was a human being. And his name was Max. And he wasn't a problem to be solved. He was a person to be cherished. And his name was Max. And he never ended up coming here because a week ago he died of a fentanyl overdose. And tomorrow I'm going to bury him, so I'm going to miss a little bit of half of our Christmas celebration. And his name was Max. And it mattered to him that somebody decided not to see him as an incident or as a problem to be solved, but as a person to be cherished. Do I think that mattered to him? Hell yeah. And he carried that beyond this life to the next one. Till you appear and the soul feels its worth. It's the only thing that matters about Christmas anyway. Pray.